And it's Trash Trades back. Filming straight from Italy and goddamn fucking Phoenix, Arizona. We dying. It's the worst. How are you guys doing? It's one of your hosts, the guy who pretty much loses the best. As you know, it's VJ. And then there's Luca.
How's it going,
He
guys?
brings some stuff to the show sometimes. I mean, he's going to show us something here. Just what it is. I hope that it's going to be educational. Why wouldn't it be? Because, of course, it's going to be. Luca's absolutely fantastic at producing losses. This is what we do. This is what we does. This is how we perform for you
Boom.
guys. As a matter of fact, sometimes we decide let's revenge trade, overtrade for the guys. Meaning the three of you guys out there listening, God bless.
Thank
You
you,
know what I'm saying?
you three.
Luca, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Honestly, it's hot, getting hot in Italy. I think I mentioned it last episode. Moving the whole setup to fucking Italy. I'm out here. I'm changing it up. Obviously, I'm
Oh
gonna be
yeah,
here for a couple months. I got some plans to go to Milan, etc. Very excited. I got shit to do, things to
hot
go,
fire.
like places to go, fucking places to be. You know how it is. So,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I obviously, I'm out here in southern Italy. I'm gonna go to Milan,
Mm-hmm.
etc. And I still got
Oh
the
yeah.
trash trades for you guys. We're still here recording.
Goddamn.
We're still here posting. We're still
Dedication.
posting the reels. We're posting the TikToks, posting
Straight
everything.
dedicated.
Absolutely. And even the ad libs from VJ, like it doesn't go unmissed. It doesn't go unheard. Like they're always there. So yeah, the ad libs are
Absolutely.
there. And guess what? We got a special edition. We got a fucking feature on this episode. Somebody that's already featured on this episode before, which is Nade.
Oh yes.
So
A true sanitation engineer, the first sanitation engineer
the
we
very
had.
first.
And this was actually, we were supposed to start recording about 28 minutes ago, but boy, we got delayed because we didn't realize boy is out here getting thick. I mean, what is going on here? Let's just take a look at this
Whoa,
pretty
whoa,
close.
whoa,
Okay, yeah, that is a 17-year-old gentleman there. And as you can notice,
gentlemen.
I believe that whatever is stuck in his arm there is about the size of half his fist, and he needs to go to the emergency room immediately because something's going on. There's obviously in the way of a lot of the muscular tissue that should be there. What a wonderful right arm, though, that he has. The hand is bigger than the phone, and then the arm is smaller than everything else in the photo, including the urinals in the back. Okay.
So, very interesting backstory to this. Me and BJ, we were supposed to record as we do always, and we're sitting in this VC. We're setting it up. I'm setting up my trade. I was like, we're talking, right? And then all of a sudden, BJ goes, "Hold on, we gotta pause. Look at this shit Nate posted." And I saw this thing, and man, I have never been more traumatized in my life. I needed I needed some time like before we started recording because I had to process what just happened, and this is what just happened. This picture right here.
Make sure his
Um,
health is in order because, I mean, that arm that small,
I mean,
yeah, that's bad.
he doesn't look too bad. It's just like look at this. Like I think it's one of the cringiest moments. And to be honest, like I'm not the type of guy to fucking go like talk major shit and like saying, "Oh, look how fucking you look like a starving child with your 3 olives that he eats all the time." That's not the message or whatever that I try to go for. But in this case, like he's got to learn from his mistakes. This is a obvious mistake. This is quite a bad one, quite a bad one. And I think he
Okay,
should learn
I
from
will say
it
there
to
is
have a
one
little
thing that's
feature
good.
on this episode. He should have a little feature. So guess what? We're gonna have a
Absolutely.
Nade little pet, and we're gonna put him right up there in the corner. Okay, there's our Nade little pet for this episode.
There is one thing good. There is one thing good about this photo.
Hmm.
There's absolutely no visibility of his face. He did a solid job in that. In a way, he thought he was going to be like, nobody will know it's me. But the thing is, if you guys knew Nate, just his vibe, and you had to pick from 1,000 photos of people you didn't know from, something about that photo would draw you in. You'd be like, okay,
It's incredible. It's incredible.
why does it feel like his name is written on it? I can't see his face. I love it though.
Whatever this is,
Honestly,
like
unbelievable.
I'm obviously like the thumbnails for the episodes. You guys see the the whatever images of trading etc. for the thumbnails. This is gonna be the fucking image for the thumbnail, like for real. Like, we're gonna have our normal trash trades fucking thumbnail, and then it's gonna be Nade as a little subplot as you do, because like we can't pass up this opportunity. People have to learn from their mistakes, and sometimes we got to push them a little bit. So that's what we're doing this episode. I think it's gonna be fun. We got a great trash trade, fucking great stories to tell. As you guys know, Nade was our very first guest on the show. In fact, he was, sanitation engineer number one, which is the
Yeah,
first
number
guest.
one.
So yeah, very interesting.
Let me also make another comment, before we get rolling. So the thing here also, like, about, like, if any of the listeners out there, you find yourself being skinny or anything, hey, it's okay. Being skinny is great. I'm too chunky. I'm trying to cut down my weight. And being skinny is fabulous. Okay. And you can be super strong. I mean, there's a lot of, like, flyweights, like lighter divisions of fighters that are about this size and they beat your ass. But I'm gonna tell you
Mm-hmm.
something that they never ever do. Okay. They never take a picture with a terrible position of flexing and then nothing to show for it and then say, gotcha. So, on that note, roll the intro.
Order filled.
Oh, what a great intro! This will be the historic history books of intros right here. But like, come on, like you give us such good content, Nate. Like he's gonna be watching this. He's gonna be like, "What the
You're in there,
fuck?"
bro.
Whatever the fuck. Like he's gotta be in there.
It's
He's
just, it's
gotta be
just
in
a
there.
featuring.
Like we're gonna
He's
be
almost in the
explaining
show.
how I lost fucking thousands, or not thousands, obviously, but like I lost my ass in the markets, and then there's gonna be this motherfucker right here in the corner, and he's gonna be with it. He's
Just
gonna be,
ready.
he's our little guest for this episode, even though he's not here. He's here in
Absolutely.
our hearts, right? So there you go. Okay, let's fucking go on with this trade.
All right.
So, oh shit,
All right. So what's going on here? What's going on here? Oh, Nate.
Nate
Just
getting a little too big. Okay,
right when we thought he couldn't get any bigger, he actually does. Good God. God bless and
there
pause.
you go. So, straight away, so I fucking did my higher time frame buys. This is where we were trading all time highs. We
What are
moved
we on, the
up.
hourly?
This is the hour right here.
Is the
So
hourly?
moved up and moved up
Okay.
on this hour here. This was the daily, or the
Beautiful.
last 3 days range, just higher and higher into like all time highs. And we set up sort of this like relatively equal liquidity here, which is a pukal. If you guys know my strategies, which is a liquidity target, I'm looking for a price to go down into that situation, like into that price, basically. And this example, I took longs, and I sort of had the higher time frame bias of how disrespected this 618 was. Because if I'm looking for the liquidity, I'm looking for respect of the 618. And because we didn't get that, and we moved super high up into premium, and we were really holding above this level, I decided to switch up my bias and go from short bias to a long bias because of how disrespectful we were to that Fibonacci. So I was having a long bias for the day. So that was my higher time frame bias. Even though we do have major liquidity, I was still thinking upwards. Going down to a couple, this is the 15-minute now. I didn't trade market open. This candle was market open. So around 45 minutes into the market, the first 45 minutes, I decided to start planning my first trade. So not straight off the bat. And the first thing I saw was this 30-minute fair value gap here, which I think
Look
I
at.
can mark.
Did you say first 45 minutes?
First 45
You
minutes,
said that
yes.
you waited the first 45?
I
Okay.
did. Yep.
So this is 45, like 10, 15 ish, sort of.
It is exactly, yeah. Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So I'm fucking up this bullshit. Hold up. Okay, it's whatever the fuck. You know what? Get that shit out of there. So I was looking for this 30-minute fair value gap here, and I was looking for a rejection from it and a movement up. So I went from this 30-minute, so bias going up. I was targeting these highs, maybe all-time highs, but I knew the order flow was up. So straight away, I fucking went down from the 30 for that fair value gap to the 15. And in that 15, I was still looking for a movement up. We sort of swept this high, and we were sort of lingering down here. So I decided I'm going to be a little bit more patient in this trade. I'm not going to go into an entry on this Fibonacci here. I was debating getting a 618 entry here, but I decided to wait. I wanted that higher time frame PDRA in form of this 30-minute fair value gap. So that's what I got. I got this movement into the 30-minute fair value gap. I went to the 5 minute and saw quite a displacement candle. And what I sort of look for in some of my trades is a big like key area like these fair value gaps, and then on the small micro time frames, I want to see a big movement up and the creation of fair value gaps. So I want a more of a distribution leg, of a very rapid like distribution of price. So price going straight upwards, not a lot of consolidation, not a lot of lingering. And that's something which I looked for. So I didn't enter this candle. I entered the candle next. So there you go. That was my higher time frame wise. Again, that 30-minute PDRA, the all-time highs, etc. I was going long for the day. So I decided to enter on this candle here. And in reality, I don't think it was the beginning of this candle. I think it was just as it invalidated this wick. And I placed my stop under here. So I had it around 2.41 risk reward on this trade. That was sort of my trade plan for that higher time frame. And then, as you guys know the rules. I'm gonna play the candlesticks bit by bit, tell you what I was thinking during the trade and how the trade ended up. So this is on the 1 minute chart, so super micro time frame. So we see more of that movement up. So again, I'm looking for those fair value gaps on the 1 minute chart. I'm still looking for that, more of the distribution stage. So I got a fair value gap. I think we rejected. Yeah, we did. So we're still moving up. So this still looks like a distribution stage to me. Still creating fair value gaps. Still moving up quite rapidly. So I was quite comfortable during this trade, to be honest. I was seeing what I liked. I got a quick movement from my entry. I wasn't really in red, so I was sort of having that carefree sort of mentality, and just saying, listen, if it hits my stop, it's okay, but so far it looks good, so I have nothing to worry about. And that's the truth. Like, so far it's quite good. And we got to a stage where we got quite close. I think this would be around a discount if we drew this leg. Yeah, okay. So the 618, we got to the 618, 786. So this would be the area for shorts, if that happened. And we sort of got a movement down, like a more of like a rejection from these premium areas, and then a movement up. And this is something where I notice where if you linger around the 618, or the 786 for a long time, and there's not a distribution, there's not a quick movement down, I feel like this is going to be invalidated. So this is what I see. Like, this is good on my end. I took a great entry long. These premium areas are getting disrespected in my favor, so I want them to be disrespected. So I was sort of planning again, to go higher. So a couple candles later, we're still lingering in this area. Again, we have this fair value gap here that we rejected from again, or on that candle and these ones. And again, we're still moving up, still lingering. And to be honest, it does it for a while. We consolidate quite like heavily for a while. Now, this is the 1 minute chart, so obviously in retrospect, it looks like a long time, but in reality, it was around, I'm going to say, 30 minutes. And then we got to a stage where we started consolidating for around 35 minutes before we had a movement down and a distribution down towards my entry. And then we got towards my entry, and then I don't know if it was this candle, the next one, and it stopped me out right here. So this was the 2.5 risk reward. And again, we are sort of making that liquidity equal highs. We're like, it still looks good for my long buys, because again, we sort of have these tells of liquidity is building above these highs. We are still looking for a higher time frame, like all-time highs, maybe this high as well. Stuff like this, it sort of gave me a tell that it was still bullish. I was comfortable during my trade, but I feel like that comfortability did not allow me to secure my risk or to protect myself. And anyway, so I got stopped out. And I'm going to, as you guys know, if you guys watched before, I'm going to throw the mic to VJ. He's going to give me some of his thoughts, his opinions, and then we're going to go straight back to what I think. So, VJ, what do you think?
Oh yeah. Well, I do like how well thought out your entry was for your bias, and you use the higher time frame, it came down, use a lower time frame confirmation. And for that trade, you got like a good entry
Mm-hmm.
and it looked like it was going to do quite well. But the thing where I would start, so based on like the entry and stuff, like especially if you thought that that PD array and wasn't that relative discount was going to hold, like I think your entry and all those ideas were good. And that's why, even though you're wrong, you had a lot of time above break even, which sometimes gets frustrating because, like, I've had a number of trades like this. And I'll tell you sort of what I like lately, where you're in profits for a long time and then it just comes stops you out and you're just waiting and doing is essentially sticking by your rules based on your data proven model, which is that I hit 2R and more often. But, price at all time high has been a little weird. So, like, I'm going to make some adjustments practically for a little reason, but let's go back to this trade now. Go back to the hour where you were at.
This is the hourly chart. Whoa, Nade
Yeah,
appearance.
yeah. So yeah, Nate. What a fucking it's like I love you, Nate. All right, so like look at the here, move the phone back a little bit. So if you look at the price, right? So yeah, we had that sweep at the lows. There might have been an SMT, and then it
Mm-hmm.
looks like that we could push up, right? Like there might have been SMT at the lows where you were initially thinking of targeting.
Yes, these here.
But if you look like we're sort of like just rejecting the lows and rejecting the highs after we hit all time high. And to me, this wouldn't be a clear bullish thing. It'd be more higher time frame consolidation.
Yeah.
So I get a little bit more sketch on entering in the middle of that consolidation, which you did.
Mm.
And like we were saying, like you had a good entry on that, but you notice how like even what seemed like the likely target for some reason it just did not take. And it's probably because maybe there was a lack of news that day. Maybe it's just because we hit all time highs and we're making this pattern. You can sort of see like there aren't any breaks, especially since I'm like looking off of the sort of limited whatever. You can just see the bodies. Even if you ignore the wicks, the bodies are not closing through each other. The
Yeah.
wicks take the highs, they come back into the range. So in these times, like your best trades are like from the edges of the range, or from like if you're an external, like an internal liquidity that's not like a fair value, or it is, but it's just like not at the extremities of the range. And you take them like you sort of want to take trades from like extreme discount into the center or extreme discount to extreme premium and back and forth until it gets cleared up, or not even really take trades. Be more likely to trim a little bit faster or put your stop to break even because you know that we're in the consolidation. Now, as you can see, so would you agree, like we're sort of in a higher time frame consolidation? Yeah, it does seem more bullish because we're making bullish PD arrays. But if you zoom out a little bit for a few days, we're just stuck in the same area.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to initiate positions from the center going out. You'd rather initiate positions from the outside going towards the center
Yeah. I
because
understand.
equilibrium will often be price too. You would often go from discount to premium and premium to discount and seek and destroy. It's very common. But if you're right at equilibrium, you don't really know which way it's going to go. And then you're just sort of like, okay, my TA has to be correct. And, a lot of times we get away with this, but it's just like not really the same case. I think I might have gone over a trade recently where I sort of did the same thing. And Tom gave me insight where it was more like, um, I sort of figured something out about myself through the insight in some other videos I'd seen, which was understand which liquidity I'm taking, but also in a higher time frame consolidation, I try to trade from the inside out. Just didn't work. I was
Mm-hmm.
green for a while and then just came back. Very annoying. Now go zoom back into your trade. I'm just wondering if this is the case. So you said those highs is 2.4. Can you move the target to like the highest that the price saw?
The
No, not
highest.
that
Oh,
high.
here.
The highest that the price actually hit.
That
Is that a
was
2R?
1.7.
Okay, so it's pretty close. Maybe not quite 2R. So you probably may or may not got a trim. Lately, I realized what we're choppy. Like I'll probably take stuff if it hangs out and does this at the 2R. So if you like notice, like even in the higher consolidation, but even this, like the price is even chopping here. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's taking the high, but then immediately rejects back into the range. and then comes down, then rejects to the upside. And then like you see sort of nothing is sort of staying. I almost wonder if the equal lows even get hit now or not, because it's just hard to say. They might get hit and then immediately bounce back, you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's very much so like, let's say that initial bounce where that the second equal low, right? You're more like you're better off taking those fair value gaps, those early fair value gaps and order blocks down low there, and then playing towards the middle
Yeah.
than you are
Understood.
from there, because it's like you're playing from one side of the range. It's swept. Maybe there's an SMT. Okay, play the equilibrium, see if you can get a good RR there, and then you can play the other side of the range,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
see, and like not really trust it because it's choppy. So even the 2R thing, I think that's something that I should expect more on like trending days and during choppy days. Like I want to get a 2R or more, but if I just so happen can't get a trade where it's likely to do that towards the equilibrium or something that's more obvious, then maybe I just don't take the trade because
Yeah.
seek and destroy is still rough,
I
and it might
understand.
have been that.
Yeah, I think this
Okay.
trade is it was to be honest, I it sort of aligned with my rules, with what I had planned. That was sort of my trading plan. Again, like
Mhm.
you can see that if we pull a fib from this high and low that I did previously on the higher time frame bias, we were like sort of chopping in this area, hitting the 786, then hitting it again and getting super close to this high. And I was sort of thinking what tends to happen when it invalidates, well, what I find happens. This is not in any of the books of ICT. This is just my observation. Maybe I'm wrong. But I tend to see when a
Mhm.
618 or a premium entry shows up and it gets invalidated, or it gets invalidated in a term where it's not showing a clear entry. So it's getting 786, then no distribution, that it goes back up and it's sort of disrespecting these key areas. I find that this is the sort of price action where a market maker model was set up and we get more of a zero point 0.5 retracement to those highs, or a whatever it is, like
Mhm.
zero point
Yeah,
0.5.
many times it does.
So
Many
that's
times it
that's
does.
sort of was my plan. That's why I didn't have a fair value gap deeper into discount and go the edge of the range like you were saying instead of the middle. So I was sort of planning that market maker model. And if you guys, I mean, if the three people that are listening knows how I trade, which I sort of hint here and there, my what were you calling them? The fucking Pukul fans or some shit. Okay, it doesn't matter. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, okay. So these are again Pukals. So these lows right here are relatively equal, and they don't show big displacement. They're like they're a liquidity target. Excuse me. So that's a level where price tends to go back into. And again, I take like liquidity levels for granted when it's against me. So when it's against me and these liquidity levels show up, I don't take anything. Like I don't. It doesn't affect me. I don't secure risk. I don't secure like profits. I don't do anything. Even though somewhat of my model is showing up against me, I don't manage my trade any differently. And I feel like that's really what I got wrong in my trade, which was I saw these big zones starting to form on my entry, something against me. Those equal highs, those relative equal highs, those are really key price targets for price action to trade back into. So I feel like I just took this for
yeah.
granted, and I decided as soon as I get a movement in this area, I was like, you know what, it's whatever, it's going well for me. I'm going to disregard these areas. And I feel like that was more the key mistake, where I did not secure my risk. I did not move my stop. I did not take
Hmm.
profits. And I feel like that was sort of the moral of I executed everything well, from the higher time frame buys to my entry to the distribution stage to everything that ticks my list, except I should be acting differently when these sort of areas show up. I should be acting differently to the price action that the market gives in front of me. So in my stubbornness to how great I am, how great my trade is going, etc., I do not secure my risk and I don't take profits off the table. And I think that was my major mistake. What do you think?
I've been dealing with. Yeah, I would agree. because I've been sort of dealing with the same thing, just leaving it at 2R and just sitting and chilling. But then if I'm paying attention, I'll just see the warning signs happening. And, you often want your entry to, like, be retapped or come back to you. But, like, if you're entered and then, like, you're just not seeing displacement and it looks sketchy, like securing some risks, like many times, like I'll just like take a trim and move my stop up halfway. So
Mm.
that it hits, like it's a much smaller whatever amount because like that initial move up and then that retap to come back down and then all those wicks like it's refusing to close above that
Mm-hmm.
entire like consolidation where before you entered it sort of took the highs no to the left. Yeah, it took those highs and then it sort of broke structure down in a way. it,
Yeah.
it quickly came back to the range, but like in a weird seek and destroy way, like it sort of like had a stronger close that way, and then it came up and almost took that sweep order block and just never closed past it. And while I'm seeing that type of price action happening, and you're like, is this an order block? Like, and then I might zoom out and be like, wait, are we in chop or like, am I? Holy, did I just enter midway in chop? And like at some point, even if the price goes in your way mentally and just long term, you're just better off just closing the trade. Once you're
Absolutely.
like, I don't know if I believe in this, and this could pay like 100 more points, or I could just cut the risk and just wait for something I believe in more.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with trading now. Where it's like, yeah, this trade could work, but like if it came down to here, then I'm like going in. And
Mm-hmm.
then and if like you only end up taking like a few trades per day or even per week, and our model's so per day, then it's just like, oh, whatever. I can't tell you how many times should I enter on the creation of an order block or should I enter on the retap? And many
Yeah.
times I'm like, oh, it's going to leave me. I enter on the creation and it comes back and touches like literally the rejection block on the other side of the order block and then goes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you entered on the creation, maybe for the stop to be reasonable, you place it there, it comes get you, and then goes. When it's like, why didn't I just leave a limit order and just be filled like a normal person? If it went like there's probably another entry on a lower time frame even.
Absolutely.
Let's say like your time frame alignment says you need to be in at the 5 minute order block because it's coming off of an hourly PD array and you're trading market maker models like I do.
Mm.
Okay, cool. Or you missed your initial entry. Guess what? Since your initial entry already happened, guess who can go down to the 1 minute or 30 second, even or 15 second if you want to play a continuation because a 5 minute already happened. You can play the continuation and place your stop a little bit further down or wherever you think is correct, and like you might be able to be part of the move.
Absolutely.
But you don't have to just like, oh shit, I can't do anything. Like wait for an entry. If it doesn't happen, one that provides you the risk reward that you want, then maybe don't take it. But so that and knowing that you do that, and many of your trades should go well if you're trading correctly, then cutting some early because it looks bad, then it goes. Like some of my most devastating losses were like that, but now I think that I was just looking at them wrong because I wanted to get a bunch of points. But to be honest, um, over the past month where I've been sort of like break even and starting to come back into green again, most of the time was because I was just being insistent about target hitting and then something else, and we just weren't in ideal conditions. We were
Mm.
in hitting all time highs, doing weird stuff, not coming down to rebalance in the same way, and sort of going chopping for a few days, and then not accepting that as the conditions. And perhaps, yeah, I adjust my size, but then it's like I'm just, like I've literally had trades on NQ missed by like 3 points, 7 points, and they come all the way to full stop. And if I just took the trim with the stop to break even, would I got my 2R? No. But like some of those times, like I wasn't really paying attention to the conditions like I should have been. And if
Yeah.
I did, I'd be like, yeah, this is okay. You really shouldn't even be in this trade. These aren't ideal conditions for
Absolutely.
that type of stuff.
100%.
So
And yeah, that's again, the higher time frame seek and destroy, like VJ was saying, the market conditions is not the best for this trade. It wasn't the best. Like, sure, you can have your plan, and I think that I actually executed this trade quite well. This was a
I
major
think so too.
indication that this trade could turn around on me, and I feel like I was seeing green. I was happy. I was like, okay, this is likely gonna execute. So I didn't decide to do anything. I didn't act normally. I didn't secure my risk like normal, and I just led myself to take more red than I was supposed to. I literally gave back money to the markets because I was stubborn and because I was ignorant and because I was, oh my God, this trade is going fantastic. I'm not going to secure my risk. That was sort of the mentality which I had in this trade. And that was my key mistake, I feel. And again, there's great
Yeah.
points with
And
market
so,
conditions, with the, as VJ said, on entering and sort of the like the middle of the range for the seek and destroy. Last episode I said search and destroy like a fucking idiot. Because I was looking back at it because I was like,
like
I don't know.
sometimes dealing with our targets like that are good, but it does depend on the conditions and like how ideal this entry is.
Yeah.
For example, like if this was way closer to that sweep and it was recent, and then there was like maybe an SMT or something, then it'd be like, yeah, don't cut it early. Just let it fucking stop you out.
Yeah.
Because like you're not going to get a better entry than this, and it's like all these other things most likely. But often when it does this, right, when it stalls like that and it's in seek and destroy, you might have the right idea. And I was literally about to say this, and it runs your stops and then goes.
Mm-hmm.
And look what it did. It ran the stops and then went. And then maybe it's going to take out those highs or whatnot. But like, if you're like aware of that, then even then you get into, yeah, look at that. So it ran the stops, didn't have enough juice, seek and destroyed.
I think it's
It
set
went
up
up,
more of a
didn't have enough for the order block. Go ahead.
yeah. I think it again. I think it's set up more of a concrete low. Having like you start this distribution, like it started a good distribution stage, but I felt like this was not good. Like the market tried to distribute up to these highs, but again, it came back down because these highs or these lows weren't printed perfectly. I feel like that's. So yeah.
Well, it's that, but also like the way that the market came down a few times because it's sort of like on a lower time frame, more of a market structure shift. So like many times it can do that, but if it does that and then wants to like reverse, like it will reverse. But most of the time, those are like very strong, higher time frame levels,
Mm-hmm.
often in like deep discount or premium, where you'll get those reactions and the follow through. If it's like up there, like you have to be aware, like, oh yeah, like it might run the stops. Like I've seen literally that happen a bunch of times, like when it's like that, and then you get stopped out, and you're like, yeah, what the hell? And then it reacts faster than you can get to it because you're like, okay. So that's why now I do a little bit more managing on the smaller time frames. And if it looks bad, like I'll just be like, fuck, I guess I'm out. And then like I just might miss the trade if it goes, and I'm just gonna have to journal it and not be angry about it because
Absolutely.
risk managing that way, sure, there's gonna be a few trades I'm gonna miss. But that doesn't usually happen. I'm willing to sit through some drawdown to get it. But it's just when it like is not displacing. And like, when do I normally trade? Like during the active times. This is like Asia or something, sure. But if I'm trading like right after news at 8:30 or right at New York Open and waiting for the market to do some things, like it should have some juice to follow through. If it is not really following through the same way,
Yeah.
then there is something that's potentially suspect. And it can, three drives pattern against you and go. But if it's not like hitting your entry and then leaving fast, but it's just sort of like hanging out and doing this stuff, like,
Mm.
what's going on here? Like, aren't you entering during an appropriate time where the price action should be directional for you? Is your idea correct or not? What is it that could invalidate your idea? And like many
Yeah.
times, I would just leave it like this and just watch the price slowly go to my stop loss and be like, yo, what the fuck? And be like, bro, whenever it actually works, like, yeah, it might come back to your entry, but you're not red for that long.
Mm-hmm.
Like a minute, maybe, maybe
Yeah.
two, and then it's gone. Or it
Exactly.
might even test again, but then a minute, 2 minutes, it's gone.
I
It
understand.
wicks away. It moves away quickly.
Yeah, it's those sort of like one thing that I also do is see the pinpoint of these major higher time frames highs. What causes a 12-hour high?
Mm-hmm.
What causes a 4-hour high or a 4-hour low? And usually it's these
Mm-hmm.
distribution stages, like VJ said, it's a great example. If it's
Mm-hmm.
sort of chopping in your entry, you're getting a lot of wicks. That's a lot of liquidity it's building up for a potential to
Mm-hmm.
sweep both sides or to create more consolidation,
Yep.
etc. So again, yeah, that is it's definitely yeah, definitely a thing. But I think it was a great episode. We fucking got a lot done.
Absolutely.
Of course, we had a little Nade pet in the episode. Fucking thank you very much, Nade,
Little
for
Nate, oh my God.
little Nade right here. There
What
you
a good
go.
nickname. Little Nate.
Little
Oh, good
Nade. Oh
Lord.
my god, we're gonna have to change his name. Okay. Anyway, great
Yeah, Lord.
fucking yeah. I enjoyed it. We fucking got some great points. Nade story. You guys, we keep you guys in tune. Okay, we got some separate shit going on. We got a whole server, Discord server, some crazy shit. It's only family in there. It's only like people we know, people we met with, people in person. I mean, etc. So, we'll keep you guys in touch. If you guys listen in, if you guys want to listen to our show, if you guys want to get better with us, if you guys want to backtest, if you guys want to improve on our mistakes, if you guys want to go back into the market with your chin held up, your head held high, saying, I've done my research, I've done my backtest, I've gained my strategy, or I've, evolved my strategy. Absolutely, I think these episodes are a good statement to revise and review those trades, because that's really, we sort of say this every episode, but that's really very important, to review your trades, to review your mistakes, and eventually your ambition to get better, and move on as profitable traders. So yeah, I think it was a great episode. BJ, what do you think?
I think it was beautiful.
Absolutely.
Like your entry style there. It showed much more control and thought than many of your others. When
Thank
you're
you.
just like, oh yeah, I had this thing. I like to target these things, but it's doing these things, so I can sort of see it here. And then you waited, and then you got the confirmation, that type of stuff. Even though, hey, this trade didn't work. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
in the long term, especially as you get better, especially when you sort of like one of my problems is reading the conditions too. I've been getting a lot better at it, but you're like, what are we actually doing? And not like hallucinating it. And then sometimes like, even earlier this week, like I was just waiting and my fucking target just did not hit. And I was sitting at 1.6 RR,
Yeah.
very similar to this. And just patiently waiting for that too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just like, wait, hold on. Isn't this whole thing seek and destroy? Like as I get stopped out, and I'm like, yeah, what the heck? And on another index and it traded better, and like these type of things they happen. But in the long run, especially like waiting for those targets, especially on days where it's trending or you have like a very like A+ entry, um, it's fine, man.
Absolutely.
So this isn't really a trash trade, it's just a nice loser,
I
just
think it was a
another
little
one.
trash. Definitely some mistakes to be reviewed and to be learned from. And that's more of these episodes. And if you guys want to show some support, there's a like button, there's a subscribe button, there's a comment section, there's a whole Instagram page and TikTok page and Twitter page, and we
Ew,
got it
wait,
all, man. If you guys want to show us some support, we'd appreciate it. What do you think, Beach?
let's go. No,
100%.
absolutely. Please show support. We're just broke babies. I mean, Luca's out there in Italy. I mean, he's going to go to Milan this weekend, but man, he's struggling pretty bad. I'm
Yeah.
over here in the heat, man. My AC just barely started working, but hey, man, one of us could use it. Both of us could use it. Just anything, man. Just do anything, man. We're going to set up a GoFundMe, man. We're trying to get a silver van. That's the inside joke. You don't need to know about it. But God bless him. Make sure you follow us and subscribe. If you think the show is good and somewhat helpful, yeah, share it with your friends. Let
Absolutely.
us know if the fucking intros are a little too crazy.
Yeah, it shows up crazy.
But
But
have
thank
fun
you
with it.
guys. Again, Monday to Friday. We'll see you guys next episode. All right. See you guys. Bye bye. Love you.
Bye.
All right. Bye
Love
bye.
you.